They laughed the first time he fell. It was not a loud laugh, not cruel on the surface, but it was sharp enough to cut through his chest and stay there. The kind of laugh that follows you home, echoes in the silence of the night, and reminds you exactly where the world thinks you belong. On that dusty street, under a sun that showed no mercy, a thin boy with torn shoes and tired eyes stood up slowly, brushing dirt from his clothes, while pretending he did not feel 1,000 eyes measuring his worth. That day, no one knew they were witnessing the beginning of a story that would one day make those same people cry. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that change hearts, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. His name was Arab, and he was known for all the wrong reasons. In his neighborhood, he was the boy who failed exams, the boy whose father died too early, the boy whose mother cleaned houses to survive, the boy people pointed at when they wanted to warn their children about becoming nothing. Every morning, he walked past the same shopkeepers who shook their heads, the same school gate where teachers sighed before calling his name, the same group of boys who laughed whenever he tried to speak with confidence. No one saw potential in him because no one had the patience to look closely. Life had placed him at the bottom early, and it seemed determined to keep him there. Arab's world was small and heavy. A single room with cracked walls, a leaking roof during the monsoon, and a mother whose hands were always rough from work yet gentle when she touched his face. She never complained, never cursed fate, and never laughed at her son. That alone was enough to keep him breathing when the weight of failure pressed too hard on his chest. She believed in him with a faith that had no evidence, only hope. Every night, after long days of humiliation and rejection, he promised himself he would become someone worthy of her belief, even if the world never changed its mind. School was not kind to Arab. Numbers confused him, words slipped away from his memory, and every test result felt like a public announcement of his weaknesses. Teachers tried at first, then stopped trying. Classmates moved ahead while he stayed behind, repeating years, repeating mistakes, repeating the same shame. Laughter followed him like a shadow. Even when he stopped responding, even when he kept his head down, it found him. But somewhere deep inside, a quiet fire refused to die. It was not confidence or talent, just stubborn survival. The turning point did not arrive with applause or sudden success. It came quietly, disguised as exhaustion. One evening, after being laughed out of a job interview for a small clerk position, Arab sat alone on a bench outside a closed factory. His hands shook, not from cold, but from the realization that effort alone was not enough if the world had already decided your limits. That night, he cried for the first time in years, not because of pain, but because he was tired of pretending it did not hurt. In that moment of complete breakdown, something shifted. He did not want revenge. He did not want to prove anyone wrong. He simply wanted to stop feeling useless. Arab began working wherever he could find labor. Construction sites, warehouses, roadside stalls. The work was brutal, the pay was small, but it taught him discipline and endurance. He watched people closely, listened more than he spoke, and learned from life what books had failed to teach him. Slowly, he discovered that while academics had rejected him, effort and consistency did not. He saved small amounts, failed many times, and stood up again each time without announcing it to anyone. Years passed, and the boy people laughed at became a man they barely recognized. His clothes were still simple, his voice still soft, but there was something different in his eyes. Confidence born from survival is quiet and unshakable. When he started a small repair business using borrowed tools and self-taught skills, no one noticed. When he expanded it into a workshop, people smiled politely but did not take him seriously. When he employed 2 workers, they laughed again, calling it luck. Arab said nothing. He had learned that silence could be stronger than explanation. The real change came when the factory near his neighborhood shut down unexpectedly, leaving hundreds unemployed overnight. Panic spread like fire, families lost income, children dropped out of school, and desperation filled the air. While others waited for help that never came, Arab stepped forward. He opened his workshop to train anyone willing to learn, paying them small wages from his savings. He did not ask about qualifications or past failures. He only asked for honesty and effort. Slowly, his small workshop became a place of hope. People began to talk, not with laughter this time, but with curiosity. The same shopkeepers who once shook their heads now nodded with respect. Mothers sent their sons to learn from him. Fathers who once mocked his dreams now asked for advice. Arab never reminded them of the past. He did not need to. The proof stood in front of them every day, breathing, working, lifting others quietly. Then came the day no one was prepared for. Arab collapsed at work, his body finally giving in to years of neglect and exhaustion. The news spread fast. The man who helped others without asking for recognition lay unconscious in a hospital bed, fighting for his life. Suddenly, the laughter of the past turned into guilt. People gathered outside the hospital, praying, crying, remembering moments they wished they could undo. They spoke of his kindness, his patience, his silent strength. For the first time, they saw clearly what had always been there. When Arab opened his eyes days later, he did not see wealth or victory. He saw faces filled with regret and gratitude. Tears replaced laughter. Respect replaced judgment. His mother sat beside him, holding his hand the same way she had when he was a broken boy. In that moment, Arab understood that success was never about money or status. It was about becoming someone whose existence made the world a little softer. Before we reach the ending, please comment one word that describes how this story makes you feel. Your words matter, and they help this channel grow with honesty and emotion. Arab recovered slowly, returning to work with a balance he had never allowed himself before. His story spread beyond the neighborhood, not as a tale of revenge, but as a reminder of what quiet perseverance can achieve. The people who once laughed now shared his story with shame and admiration. They cried not because he proved them wrong, but because he proved them human. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone who was underestimated or overlooked, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement keeps these stories alive and gives hope to those who need it most. They laughed at him once, when he had nothing but dreams and scars. Today, they cry for him not because he rose above them, but because he lifted others with him. And in that quiet, powerful truth, Arab finally found the peace he had been chasing all his life.